This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you.
Oh, cool.
Kind of cool.
Kind of cool. Yeah.
Hold on just a second.
Cool.
That should be good.
It should be good. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so for those of you that are joining us, this is database management. And what we wanted to do, myself and my special guest, once he joins, we wanted to talk to you about what the program is and what is being offered and talk about expectations. So let me share my screen, or excuse me, start from the beginning. All right, so database management. Scott Leroy will be jumping on soon, so he'll also be able to provide some content and context. And for many of you, that may have been, or this may be your first time being introduced to Scott. So I'm going to hold off and wait till he joins in, and then I'll introduce him. So what we wanted to do is this. We launched a pilot program, many of you may know, a couple of months ago. And with the pilot program, we wanted to make sure that the agents had clarity around what the program was and what the expectation was. So we had to midstream kind of circle back, institute some training and some guidance so that agents had a clear roadmap to success and how it was going to benefit them. So now that we have finished the pilot program, we're actually now going into the live test. And it's actually going to start May 2nd. And so what we want to do is between now and May, make sure that everyone that wants to participate has the necessary information to move forward so we can have great success with this campaign. So in terms of database management, we're going to talk about what the database management is, clarify command user type, talk about contacts, tags, and smart plans. Those are the fundamental things that comprise and or make up the database management. So before we get started, can anyone, or if you can, please put it in the chat in terms of what you're hoping to get out of this program. So if you can put that in the chat, and the reason why I'm asking you to put that in the chat is because we want to leverage that information to make sure we're number one, all on the same page about what it is and what it is not in terms of database management, but also make sure that we have realistic expectations so we are off to a great start. So if you can put in the chat as you go through or think through in terms of what you hope you individually and or you as a team hope to get out of database management. Thank you. I see one person, all contacts and community nurturers. Awesome. So just put that in the chat for me. That would be awesome. And then I am going to copy that and circle that. And before I get into it, let me just ping Scott one more time, make sure he is able to join.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, you are? Oh, sorry. God, we'll take it away. Hold on. I want to stop share because I want to have people see you and be introduced to you. So I am so sorry about that. Let me.
Yeah, no worries. No, it's so funny. I didn't want to say anything. I was just kind of sitting in the background. I figured.
Yeah, they want to see you. They want to see you. You're my buddy.
Well, the headshot looks a lot better on there. So I appreciate that.
But if you want to introduce yourself, Scott, and just tell them a little bit about you and your amazing company, and then we'll go right back into it.
Of course, yeah. So my name is Scott Leroy. I run what I call the lamest name company of all time, Scott Leroy Marketing. And we're really here to help you with all of your kind of KDB technology. So some of the biggest items that we help with is obviously the onboarding side, making sure everything's up and running, helping with the troubleshooting, helping with the training. But much like we're talking about today, really helping with that database side, getting those contacts into command. And Latasha, I'm sure you probably saw that there was a big update that happened today as well too on the database side. So making sure those contacts are in command, making sure that you're utilizing everything. Because I always kind of tell agents that you can start to utilize command as much as you want to, but if your contacts aren't in there, a lot of the different applets won't function properly. So obviously outside of the campaigns applet, specifically for email campaigns, that won't function properly. Okay. The tasks section won't function, the opportunity section won't function, smart plans won't function. So getting those contacts in and then really starting to get a deeper dive is going to help out tremendously. And I heard it A couple weeks ago, Latasha, if you were over in Mega Leadership, you may have heard this as well too, that really at the end of the day, if you're buying leads, that's one thing. Like if you're buying it from another third party, whether it's from Zillow, whether you're doing Facebook leads, whatever it might be, or trying to do pay-per-click marketing on there, that's perfect. But some of the best leads are inside your database. And the best part is they're free. So it's always nice to kind of stay top of mind, to get back in touch with them and really start to utilize it. So that is one of the biggest things that we'll be able to help to leverage off your plate, make sure that that's going out and really get you back in front of everyone possible to make you top of mind and start to get that repeat and referral type business coming back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. So, so we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're just going to roll out the program so everyone can see it. And then please feel free at any point in time to stop and ask either Scott or myself questions in terms of the program, and we'll go from there. So database management in terms of what it is. So the Market Center's goal is to provide you with tools and resources to maximize your database to increase your profitability. So we want to help you win. This is a partnership, and I really stress the word partnership because there's going to be some things that are required or needed of you, as well as me and Scott. So I am kind of the bridge to success. So I am helping from a training perspective to make sure that everything gets done. I'm going to be the one that's also reaching, also reaching out to you, contacting you every 30 days just to make sure that you're on point and you have, all your questions or needs addressed. And then if there's something that needs to be, kind of run interference for, if there's something I need to do, I will be there to help you. So I'm that, that bridge that's going to connect you. So obviously you're going to reach out to Scott Leroy and his team and work with him. We'll also be there to help you and guide you as well. So you'll have dual the support. You'll have it from local leadership, i.e. me, and then you'll also have it from Scott and his team. So that's the first part. So we want to be very clear about command users, and many of the agents that have taken classes from me, you've seen this new slide, and you're going to start seeing this a lot because we really want to get down to quantifying who you are as a command user and how you're using command. So moving forward, this is going to be our matrix, if you will. And there's no shame. This is just where you start. So if you're a basic user, meaning you use 2 applets, essentially contacts and opportunities, meaning you're just using it to get paid, we would consider you a basic user. If an intermediate user is someone that has stepped up and they are using maybe Facebook, so 2 to 3 applets, that may be you now. And then we have those advanced users that are utilizing command. Typically, the advanced users are either using command as their primary CRM or very close to it. So that may mean contacts, opportunities, Facebook, and designs. The thing that I want to stress is very much what Scott has already said. Everything begins with a contact. I said that several months ago, and one of my counterparts kind of looked at me, but everything begins and ends with a contact and command. And
Latasha, I have a quick question for you, actually. Did you make that slide, or is that a slide that, because that's so funny. I promise I have not seen this presentation before.
I made it up.
I was going to say, I did. There was nothing on there that I prepped on there, but now I feel like I was just reading the next slide, word from word on there. So sorry about that.
No worries. No. So just for context, Scott, part of the reason why I did this is because I looked at our engagement in terms of how many of our agents were utilizing command. And I wanted to really come up with a silo or a system to basically launch them from the next, starting point, meaning that I want to try to get our basic users into intermediate into advanced. And I wanted to have a simple system created, but then also that was easily understood.
Yeah. And Angela, you were spot on. That's why she is the best trainer. She thought of this way before I ever even just blabbered my mouth about contacts.
Thanks. So in terms of the plan or the strategy or the roadmap, so the first thing is to maximize your database management. Many of you already know it begins with adding the contacts into command. I will say this, Scott Leroy and his team, they utilize an app that's both created for Apple and also for Android users. And for those of you that don't know, it's SA Contacts. And so I'll put that link in the chat once Scott jumps in, or if Scott wants to put it in the chat if he has it at the ready. But that's an amazing app that you can use in terms of if you're trying to export contacts from your phone. So for those of you to want to have that, we'll put that in the chat. So that's the first step, making sure that you add your contacts into Command. The second step is know how you want to organize your business. This is huge. So this is going to take some time. I know Anne and her team are working on this right now. I'm helping them, or giving them guidance, I should say. But figuring out how you run your business, meaning this, setting up the difference between buyer and seller. Or if you are a farming king or queen, what areas do you farm? And are you going to have tags associated to that? So taking the step back, I know it will take a little time to get organized, but it's going to pay off in spades in the end. Making sure you understand how you currently run your business, and are the tags that you have lined up. And if they're not lined up, you want to make sure that you tweak and re-strategize to make sure that your tags are helping you function the way you want to run your business. The third step, smart plans. Know either the top 5 or the ones appropriate for your business. And we are actually going to give you a slide that gives you the guidance based on the basic user, intermediate user, and advanced user. So we're going to get you started and give you those at the ready. So those will be like a no starter. You'll be able to just hit play, if you will, in terms of an analogy. So the fourth step, know your implementation strategy, meaning once you have your contacts, you've got your tags in that align with how you're running your business. And then you have the smart plans in terms of these are the first 5, say that fast, smart plans I'm going to use. And then know your implementation strategy. How are you going to monitor that? How are you going to follow up? And how are you going to do step and repeat? And so the 5th one is know your follow-up strategy, do and repeat. One bonus thing I will say is when you're thinking about a smart plan, think of it from A to Z, meaning from your initial contact to your contact or your client until when they close. Do you have a smart plan for the close? A lot of times agents don't have that. And I can tell you right now that I am actually working with Carrie, my counterpart, and we're actually going to create a custom smart plan for the close, specifically for the close. And we're going to share that with all of the agents so you can use that and leverage that. Any questions about the roadmap? Okay.
So one thing to piggyback off with Latasha on step 2, one of the biggest things that you can do on there is add in those specific tags, because those tags are going to help out tremendously, not only for the organizational part of your database, but also when you get to step 3, because then it's going to be able to automatically add. So in case y'all didn't know, there's an opportunity inside the contacts that once you actually add in a tag, it can then feed to a smart plan based on that particular tag. So once you add that in, it'll make your life so much easier to just automate everything too. And then once, like Latasha was talking about, once that plan ends, you can repeat the plan, you can link it to another smart plan, you can continue everything going. So the reason I wanted to talk about that is like what Latasha was saying is, if you then move your contact and you happen to have them on the tag of active client, and then you decide to move them to the tag of sold, that tag of sold can then start that new smart plan that, hey, they just recently closed on this. Here's what we're going to send back out to them over the next couple months. So that'll just make your life that much simpler too.
Thanks. Yeah. Oh yes, Karen, did you have your hand up? Go ahead.
First of all, thank you guys. And Scott, it's amazing to meet you. I've never seen you before in face, and you look so different than what I was expecting, but in a very good way, So anyway, I don't know what I was expecting, but you look fabulous. But Latasha, my question is, so that sounds brilliant, by the way, turning them from an active into a sold, because I have never, ever reached out to any of my past clients that I sold property to, and they all loved me. When I saw them list with somebody else after the fact, I'm like, why didn't I reach out to them? And, you know, that's many, many years. So that's brilliant. So are we going to be able to organize that? And I guess that goes to our tags by also where they live. So they get a certain, you know, like if they're on the west side or the south side, there's a big difference. So
yeah, so if so there's a lot of teams or people that are also leveraging location as well. So you set it up how you want to run your business, Karen. So yeah, if you want to, talk about specifically locations, we can also strategize about that as well. I'm hoping probably for me, and you guys can hold me accountable to this. I'm hoping by end of May or mid-May to be done with that sold smart plan. So I am challenging you. If you do not see any communication from me by May 15th, call me out on it, email me, text me and say, hey, Latasha, I thought you were going to do that, because I need to also be held accountable, but it's also going to be a win-win for you. So I am challenging you to do that. Bonnie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, my question is, how many tags can you attribute to a contact? Is there a limit?
There, as far as I know, there is no limit, but Scott Leroy can weigh in on that. The only thing that I would say is don't go too tag heavy, because then it may prohibit you or limit you from what you want to do in your business. I would be more strategic about your tags, but I'm going to defer to the expert on that, or the expert on that. Scott, you want to weigh in?
I haven't run into it yet. So I don't think there is a limitation, but I 100% agree with Latasha. I usually suggest at the most 5. 3 is kind of my sweet spot of what I tell people, because then we can basically put inside, a tag of what type of contact they are. Is there anything else that you want to tag them into, like a subcategory like Latasha's talking about? And then anything else personal that you want to add on there too. Because inevitably, if you're going through your database and you want to set up different smart views, that will help whenever you're actually searching, because searching by the tags is going to help out tremendously. Now, I can tell you that on each smart plan, you are limited to 10 tags that you can add as the different triggers on there. So that's the one tag limitation I have seen. Outside of that, though, I haven't seen any type of limitation on the actual contact.
And can I circle back on that? Because Scott, you bring up a good point in terms of triggers. And this is a conversation that we can have a little later on and get more in the weeds. But when you are creating and or adding a smart plan, it would behoove you to set up triggers to have that automatic or automagic, as Zach Younger says, because let me give you a concrete example. And I use Safeway all the time. I love Safeway, don't hate me. But I love Safeway. And I'm using this example. You go to Safeway and you meet Bonnie, amazing McChrystal, and she is a potential client, and she, you guys hit it off. Have a smart plan already in place in terms of, new onboarding of clients or whatever it is, and then set up that trigger, and then, get your smartphone out to get your Command Mobile app. And then what you can do is put Bonnie in there automatically, add that tag, and then Bonnie's getting an email or text or however your smart plan works when you walk out of Safeway. So triggers are a way to help you get that automation piece nailed down when you're wanting to connect and communicate with your clients.
And I assume you're going to teach us how to do that magical stuff.
Yes, I will. Maybe not today, but I will.
Wait, I do have one more question in line with Bonnie's question about tags and how many you can have, because I have a lot of clients. So I like, and we'll talk about this more when we're just together, Latasha, but as far as the amount of tags, so if they're kind of layered tags, like you put the first, do they layer, by the way? So, if you say, okay, all these people are from this people and I want them all tagged together. So if you just go for that, it'll pull all those people. But if you also have a tag that says, okay, I want everybody like 3 million and above, it will pull those people. 5 million above, it'll pull those people, it'll drop off the other people. So there are ways to put a lot of tags and still be able to intelligently use them, correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
And then you can always also, I guess this is a Scott question also, you can also, because you say you can only put 10 things in a smart plan. Well, can you create more than one smart plan because you have such varied clientele?
Yeah, you could. Yeah. So that's, especially if you're utilizing like custom smart plans. Now, if you're using any of the KW specific ones, like the monthly neighborhood nurture, biweekly neighborhood nurture, anniversary, birthday, it won't allow you to duplicate those. So you would be kind of capped at those 10 tags. but that's something that once we hit that roadblock, that's no problem at all. And one thing to kind of let you know that you're talking about, so you can kind of have them segmented where you said like it's this tag, and then they can also have 3 million or 5 million. One thing, and Latasha, let me know if this is anything that's coming down the pipeline. I haven't heard of it yet. You aren't able to specify though when searching for your contacts, like I only want to display contacts that have.
Right.
You need to get paid?
Oh, hold on. Keep talking. I'll mute.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, man.
But Scott,
Okay.
can you speak? Can you?
Okay,
make
no,
your
she's been doing it in
volume a little
Venmo. That's all
louder?
good.
I have some news.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
so
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
really-
that's amazing.
Yeah, we didn't contact our realtor because buying Kiara's mom's house.
Oh my gosh, well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Someone, I'm trying to mute you. If you are having another conversation, can you mute yourself, Jonathan?
That's
Can you mute
Jonathan.
yourself? Thanks.
Listen, hush up, sweetheart.
yeah, so the one thing that you won't be able to do on it though is that if you say like, say for instance, they're part of the South Side and they're a 3 million buyer or so, you won't be able to say, I want to search for, you know, contacts that have both tags. It'll still pull up either or. So like if I'm going through and I'm searching for contacts that have 3 million, and then also on the South Side, it's going to pull up everyone, whether they have both the tags or just one or the other tag too. So I always like to let that be known just to make sure that once you're searching for those tags, it's going to pull up everyone on there, no matter how many tags they may have, if that makes sense.
Is there any way to adjust the system to eventually be able to filter?
So it's something that's coming down the pipeline. We don't have an ETA. I can tell you it's in the works. That's about all I can tell you. It's a date-ish, as we like to say in the tech world. It's coming. So, but what we could do or can do to escalate that is you can go to ideas.kw.com and you can put that in as an idea and send it to me, and I can send it to our fellow MCTTs and also kick it out to the agents and have them vote on it. Because even though it's already in the works, the more votes that we get, the more likely KWRI will push it to the top and get it updated or added.
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
what she's saying is it's not May 15th. That's
That's not
that's-
my day. It's ish. Bruno.
I use ish a lot, Latasha.
Bruno, did you have your hand up?
Hello?
Maybe not. Oh, did you have your
I
hand
have-
up?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
The sound. I have a quick question. So it took me a while to consolidate all of my the contacts that I have between an email list from my previous business and the phone list, and it just happened now. But now that they're there, every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I have new people that I'm meeting and adding to my phone contact. How do I bring these into command without having to export the whole list again and doing the duplicates and all of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You want to
So-
take that, Scott? Or you?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a couple options, and I'll put this over inside the chat section as well too. And I want to make sure that I triple check before I say the wrong one on there. So there you can export and obviously import. And the good part about Command is that if you already have a contact with the same email, with the same phone number, if you try and add that in again, it won't actually allow you to upload it a second time. So even if you add that in another time, you're still good to go and it won't automatically do that. Now, in order to save you a little bit of time though, there is an option on here as well. So y'all may remember there used to be an option called PySync back in the day, and now there's a new option called API Nation, which is the main one. So if you happen to be utilizing like your iPhone and you have your contacts through iCloud, then you can actually link your iCloud account to Command where the contacts will automatically feed over back and forth. So that way it'll kind of create that two-way sync for you. And there's even an option if you're utilizing Android for Google Contacts as well too. So if you want to avoid kind of exporting each time and adding them in, then this is another alternative option as well too. But on a great note, if you do export and import it, or we help to import those contacts for you as well too, it'll only add in the brand new contacts. So if you want to go that route, you're definitely more than welcome to just send them over to us. We can get them in and just know that it'll only get those new contacts instead.
It basically
cool.
said that you can sync your iPhone with your command, your contacts. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, so you can sync your iCloud account with Command. So if you happen to have your, like on my iPhone, for instance, I've got, it didn't show anything on there, but I've got my phone linked with my iCloud account. So I have kind of like a backup basically of it in case anything ever happens to my phone. So that way I can actually sync iCloud with Command, where those contacts that I'm adding to my phone would then automatically feed to Command. And I can have it work vice versa as well too. So then the contacts in Command could feed over to my iCloud as well.
And this happens through the app from the marketplace that this.
Yeah, the marketplace. Yeah, the link
Okay.
that Scott put in there, it's called API Nation Marketplace. And you can go in there and it's basically a third-party app that you can use in Command. So it works amazing.
Okay,
I
great.
just
Thank you.
want to pop in here.
Wait, what is the
Oh.
third-party app? What does
Oh,
it mean?
third, great question. So third party just means just like your phone, like on your apps, those are all third party apps, meaning other companies are hosting those apps. That's all it means. It just means that there's another company outside of Keller Williams that created this app for you to use. That's it.
How safe and secure is it would be my next question.
That's a great question. And the reason why it's on Marketplace, because it's already been vetted. So Scott Leroy is referring you to a company that's already been vetted by KWRI International. And so the only reason why they're on that list is because they've been extremely vetted, tested, and they're a bona fide legit company. They trust them, they know them. So that's why we recommend it, because it is on the marketplace. If it's outside of the marketplace, it's a gamble, you take it at risk, but anything you find in the marketplace has been vetted by KWRI.
So
I just want to add to that, Latasha, if there were just like a 20-minute kind of little crash course on, where to find the API Nation, I think that's the name of the tool, and just demonstrate, because this is, I think, where a lot of us get lost. Like, we may take the effort to kind of send a huge Excel file over to Scott. We've got that database, nice and fattened up. But over time, it's those additional contacts that we continue to make every day that turn into that file on your desk. And that's, for me personally, that's where things kind of fall apart with respect to continually adding and growing the database in the system. So just that syncing an iCloud account with Command, quick and dirty, 15-minute, here's how to do it. Even if you put it on YouTube, that would be helpful, because everything you just said, it made me nervous.
It's okay. I'll do you one
I
better.
agree.
I will create a Loom video by next week, and the Looms are under 5 minutes. It's all you need, under 5 minutes. I'll create a Loom video and add it to that list that I have on my footer in terms of the Google Drive that all the agents have access to. I'll add it.
Awesome, thank
I
you.
don't do Twitter. Is there any other way to do it?
Say that again. I'm sorry, Karen.
I don't do Twitter. Is there any other way to get it?
Yes, I can make a note to call you and work with you offline.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay. So question. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Scott, go
Bonnie, I
ahead.
was about to say, Bonnie, if you want the lengthy version, if you want to wait for Latasha's 5-minute version, I may suggest it. But if you want the lengthy 25-minute version, we did a class on it as well too. So I just put it inside the chat section.
Thanks,
That's-
Scott.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jill, did you have your hand up or no? Oh, go ahead.
Bonnie, thank you so much for your, sorry. Here we go. Thank you so much for your question, because that was really helpful for me. I have several hundred contacts that are duplicated. And I'm wondering if there's an easy way of consolidating.
So I think the best strategy, and Scott, you can chime in. I think the best strategy for you, Jill, is for you and I to set up a one-on-one, and then we can go through your database and we can kind of look at it and clean it out and kind of go from there. And then I can give you some action items about how to to do that. I think that would be the best strategy. So then that way I can get inside of your command and see what's going on.
That would be awesome. All right,
Okay.
I'll schedule some time. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So steps in terms of contacts, the question going back to the roadmap, and then we're going to get into the smart plans. Where are your contacts located? We talked a little bit about that, or we alluded to that. Now going back to the questions in terms of getting ready to launch the database management. And then have you uploaded your contacts into command? We've talked about that. If not, do you need assistance with that? So Scott Leroy put in the chat the video in terms of the lengthier API Loom video. I will give you the shortened version. But again, we just want to make sure we understand where the contacts are and making sure that they are in command. So this is a gamification, and this is another one created by me, Scott. So you're not going to find this anywhere. So this is a gamification of getting the healthy contact score. And what I mean by that is this is your pathway to getting 100% contact score. I made it into a game, but it's actually a real life reason why you want to do it. Because the more information that you have in your contacts, i.e. their first name, their email address, their phone number, their lead source, their contacts, social account, like their handle, their Twitter handle, their social media, their professional, their profession, and also their company name, the more leverage that you can create clients for life. Meaning when you have all of these things, you should be able to sell them for the life of that person or your life in terms of they will be lifelong clients. So this is something that you want to get in the habit of making sure you have all of these things to get, not only just to get the perfect score, but you're also getting the perfect score in your business by having those repeat raving fan clients. Scott, anything you want to add before we move on?
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The biggest thing is, so those first four that you see on there, first name, email, phone number, address, I mean, those are going to be the top 4 items to have on there, because that's automatically going to get you, I mean, if you're going off the standard grading scale, that's going to get you a B. So I was always someone that was not happy until I had an A. So inevitably you'll need at least 3 more items on there. But the best part is then if we add inside a tag, I mean, that's going to get you 84% right there. If you add inside a profession or company name, if you just happen to know that, that's 88%. And then if you have a lead source, even if you're just saying that this is someone I met from an open house, someone I met at Safeway, you know, or someone that I met through a referral, you're at 92% already. So then getting the other, you know, 8% on there, that's going to help out tremendously, because having their date of birth, then you can just add them to that birthday smart plan. They're going to get something every year on the birthday. Having their social accounts, if you then decide to actually utilize the Facebook ad option, which is something outside of the contacts, then you can actually say, I just want to go after my database. And if they happen to have your social account on there, or if it's based off their email, and that's the one they're using on Facebook, then you can actually target them directly. So trying to get up to 100%, it might seem like a daunting task, but the best part is those 4 first things will help you immediately just get that B already, which is perfect.
I'm going to say something very controversial. You want to think about having 2 birth dates. Their one of their birth into the world, and then their house birthday. How awesome would that be to every anniversary of their home purchase, you're sending them something. So think about the birthdays in 2 ways. So the second step, the top 5 in terms of, or excuse me, the second step would be lead source, status in the process, and these are tags, the top 5 tags in terms of going back to a lot of you had questions about the type of tags. So you could have one that factors in the lead source, where you met them or where they came from, status in the process in terms of where they are in the process. Do you have an appointment with them? Kind of goes back to that MREA model. You could integrate that. Client type in terms of buyer lister, neighborhood. This is huge. We're going to circle back to that neighborhood in just a minute. And then specialty group in terms of, you know, are they affiliated? Are you in the, you know, the national, I don't know, axe throwing competition, you know? So I only say that because I did axe throwing recently. So whatever that is, but you leverage those personal relationships so you can have those clients for life. The one thing I will add about neighborhoods, and Scott, you can weigh in on this. I recommend this. When you are adding a client and you are wanting to establish a neighborhood, I recommend that you identify at least 3 neighborhoods. And the reason why I do it in 3s is because you can have their current address, which is good if you're on the seller side because they can see what's up and coming on their actual home that they have now, then whatever their desired neighborhood is, and then at an adjacent or next to neighborhood. The reason why I like to say 3s is because sometimes if there's no active listings, KWLS may not send that email out if there's no active listings. So I always recommend the 3. So then that way, if you're doing the neighborhood nurture, you're guaranteed that every month or every 2 weeks, however you set it up, it's going to automatically send them that information. So I would recommend in 3s, but Scott, I'll defer to you, or you had anything else to share about that?
Oh, that's perfect. And it's so funny because I always tell everyone too, I'm like the monthly neighborhood nurture, the biweekly neighborhood nurture is fantastic, but it's not just for the buying side. Like, yes, it's fantastic to see like, hey, you know, what's available on the market, you know, what are the homes going for, but it's fantastic on the selling side. I have myself personally on one over in my own neighborhood. I've been here for 5 years and it's just nice to know like what's happening, you know, and obviously I check on stuff all the time, but it's also nice just to get that email coming over here because I'm not the normal, you know, home owner. In this case, most people aren't looking at this all day long trying to find the data for it. So it's always nice to know. And then much like Latasha said, I do suggest having at least more than 1. So 3 is a perfect number because then if something's not available, like the neighborhood I live in is literally only 5 streets and that's it. And so there's not usually that many homes for sale. So whenever I get something, it's like, oh, there's 1 home. Well, that home is much smaller than mine. So I can take a guess as to what it might be. I make that sound like I live in a massive home. I don't. I was about to say the homes that I live in were built in the 50s. So mine is 2,000 square feet. So I'm the outlier in the neighborhood because most of them are 1,200 square feet. So looking at that compared to mine, I'm like, well, maybe if I double it, that'll be around it. But it's also nice to kind of have an idea as to, you know, what does that look like or anything. But also the other thing that I always suggest as well too, and I'll use myself as an example. I live in a neighborhood called Coy Town, which is right next to Winter Park neighborhoods and also a neighborhood called Baldwin Park. And I live on what I like to call the outskirts of that because my neighborhood is next to it. So I always say I can see how much fun they're having in Winter Park and Baldwin Park without having to pay the Winter Park or Baldwin Park prices. So I'm right next to the fancy neighborhoods. So, you know, inevitably during, you know, the holiday season, when there are lights outside, I know who to go by and see all the fun stuff. Whereas over in my neighborhood, I'm just like, oh, we're the normal people. And that's it. So it's always nice to know, like, whenever you're adding those in, like Latasha said, you know, definitely say, hey, this is the neighborhood they're currently in. What is a neighborhood they might be looking to go to? So I might actually say add in 4, you know, what's a neighborhood they're looking to go into, and then an adjacent neighborhood just in case nothing comes up. And then next to their, you know, the neighborhood they're currently living in, if it's a smaller neighborhood like mine, what's another one near them that might be similar in pricing as well too, so they can get an idea in case they don't happen to have any homes on there. But you'll know your neighborhoods better than anyone out there.
Awesome, thanks. So those are the tags. Next slide. So these are the smart plans. And so I want to get into this in terms of recommendations. So for going back to the basic and intermediate user, in terms of basic would be 2 applets, intermediate 2 to 3, if that is you. If you have not already, these are the smart plans that we would encourage you to add. Smart plan number 1, hands down, the neighborhood nurture. The caveat to that is making sure that you've got the neighborhoods assigned to them. And we'll walk you through that depending on how much time we have, but we're almost done with the slides. And then smart plan number 2 would be the quarterly call plan. You know, as well as anyone being in the business for as long as you have been, even if for the newer ones, the quarterly call plan, picking up the phone, actually calling people hands down is the best way to network directly with clients. Smart plan number 3 would be promote your app. Smart plan number 4 would be the birthday. Keep in mind the 2 birthdays, the actual birth, physical birth, and the actual birth of their anniversary of purchase. And then home anniversary, which is 5. And then Smart Plan 6 will be a long-term nurture. And then hopefully in mid-May, I'll be able to add another one, which would be sold. So those are the basic smart plans that we encourage the basic to intermediate command user to use. For those that are the advanced users, we would recommend, or the recommendation is this: we're assuming as an advanced user that you're also doing paid ads within Command. So then the easy button Facebook leads is a great smart plan to leverage. How to get listings in the beginning of the year is another great smart plan to leverage as an advanced user. And then the 36 touch part 1, part 2, part 3. And those are specifically to market data statistics from NAR, from NAR. So, and Kimber Walton is the author of those. So the advanced users, if you have not leveraged those smart plans, I would consider looking into them to see if that works for you. But hands down, the best one is going to be 2 of them actually, or I guess all 3, but definitely the Facebook lead. And then that 36 touch as it relates to the NAR market statistics are huge for those advanced users. So comments or questions, Scott, you want to weigh in, and any comments or questions from our wonderful agents about the smart plan piece?
Yeah, so one thing I will say, so if there are any agents on here that were around prior to Command, so this is kind of dating myself a little bit, but I know a lot of people used to like something called This Month in Real Estate, which was kind of like the NAR statistics at the end of the day. So the one that's on there, the 36 touch plan by Kimber Walton, that is one that we actually highlight over here a bunch as well too, because it's fantastic. It's a great plan where if you don't happen to have like too much activity in your neighborhood, but you still want to get stuff out, or maybe someone is not looking at selling or they're not looking at buying anytime, but they just want to stay informed. It's a great informative option without having to really lift a finger, which is the best part. Because a lot of people always say, you know, hey, I want to send out a monthly newsletter over to my contacts, but I don't know what to put out there. So this is a great opportunity just to stay top of mind with them and really keep your brand in front of them. Because at the end of the day, one of the biggest things with these databases and with the smart plans is that when they think of someone to either help them buy or sell a home, or someone is asking them, do they know of anyone that can help them buy or sell a home? You want to be top of mind. And that is the biggest thing on there.
Yes. Miss Katie, have your hand up?
Yep. So it's the neighborhood nurture. In the previous slide, you mentioned using 3 tags. So you said you recommend you doing 3 neighborhoods around them. So do those 3 neighborhoods that you're including in the neighborhood nurture have to be the same? Are those the tags that you're putting in for the neighborhood? I'm a little confused about the 3.
Yes, correct. So the reason, thanks for the clarity. So let me make sure I'm very clear, and Scott, you can help me too if I'm not, if it sounds clear as mud. So here's the thing. Whenever you're wanting to add or implement a neighborhood nurture, you first have to have the neighborhood added into the contacts. So the neighborhood can look however you want it to look. I was just throwing that out as an example. And my recommendations for 3s would be, for example, if that client is, you're representing, let's just say, going back to Bonnie, you're representing her on the listing side. So Bonnie already has a community that she lives in. So you want to add that neighborhood first. Then let's say Bonnie's looking to move to the west side. So I'm just throwing it out there, Bonnie. I'm not telling anybody anything. So then you would say, let's say Kapalua. So then you put Kapalua and then maybe Lahaina. So those would be the 3 neighborhoods you would assign to her. So then when the monthly neighborhood nurture rolls out, those are the 3 neighborhoods that she would get. Now you would, communicate with her and explain to her why you're doing the 3s, even though she's only looking for Kapalua. You just want to make sure that she is well informed about and you can spin it in multiple ways. You can say, I just want to make sure you're well informed about, what's going on in your own neck of the woods, if you will. I want you to be informed about your desired location. And I also want to see, let you know what's going on out just a little bit outside your neighborhood. So you can spin it in multiple ways. But again, that was why I said assign them 3 neighborhoods, just to make sure they actually get a neighborhood when they receive that email. Because if there's no listings in those neighborhoods, that email will not be generated. It won't be sent out. So you just want to guarantee that it's going to go out on that consistent basis. Does that add clarity around what I said or no?
I think so. And so then you're also required to tag them with those 3 neighborhoods?
Yes, so then I'm gonna go off script just a minute. And I think it warrants this, and Scott, you can jump in case it doesn't, but I think it does. I'm gonna actually go.
I was just on the spotlight, so I popped up immediately. So I figured I'd wave at everybody.
No
Yeah.
worries.
So in this case, spot on. So, and you can add the tag. You don't technically have to add the tags. I would highly suggest it though, just so that way you can actually search your database even quicker. And then that way, whenever you're adding that tag in, it can automatically go inside the smart plan too. So it'll make your life a little bit simpler at the end of the day, but primarily having those neighborhood tags too is going to make your life a lot easier when searching your database.
So can everyone see my screen? Okay, so in contacts, I'm just going to pick on Aaron IU because he floats to the top in alpha order. So this is your contact card. And so if you scroll down, it says add neighborhood. So he's my tester. So, you know, Aaron's looking property all over. So then you would simply select add neighborhood, find whatever the neighborhood. I'm going to do a new one. I'm going to do Makawao. And then based on the neighborhoods that you assign is the email that they will get. So for example, in this case with Aaron, he's going to get all of these. He's going to get Olawalu, Makawao, Wailea Norris, Frecklesville, Kapalua Golf Villas, Kula, Pukalani. He's going to get all of those. So you can manage what they're going to receive based on the neighborhoods that you add. Does that add clarity, Katie?
It does, yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, Karen, you had a question. I'll keep this up until your question, just to make sure in case it's something I need to show, visually show.
Yeah, no, I actually have 2, but this goes back to my second question, which is, so even if they're looking on the south side and they're thinking, well, I might want the west side, so you can have more than 1 hood to each, or you can have more than 3 hoods. You can have like 6 or 8 hoods if you want to put them in.
You can
Okay,
have
so
as many
that's-
as you want, yeah. Mhm.
Good. Okay, so that's the one question. My second question goes back to that that Katie, whatever her name was, Kimberly Walton thing.
Oh, Kimber, yeah.
Kimber, sorry.
It's okay.
Walton, whatever her name was. So she creates, or she created, and we're just using the same one, or how do our newsletters go out and get new statistics every time?
So that's the beauty of it. She already created it. She gave you the easy button, so you don't have to do anything. It's all based on NARS statistics. So all you need to do is go in and let me go and do a demonstration. So let me go to Smart Plans.
Love your mouse, by the way.
Thank you. I got my headphones rocking and my my internet's a little slow, so sorry. I guess it didn't have its coffee this morning. It's in that wheel of eternity. It's thinking about it. And we're thinking.
Yeah,
maybe
and,
not.
and one cool thing that you can kind of see on the screen right now, it might go away in a second, but at the bottom left, right above where it says, like you'll see Google on there, right below that it'll say copy link. You can actually share that as well with your contacts and say, you know, hey, if you don't want to wait until this email comes out, here's your own website that I created for you that you can check daily for new information on listings that are available for sale, average days on the market, average price, so they can have all that available for you too.
So I'm going to put it in the chat because I'm going to go back to Aaron and then I'm going to do the copy and paste so you can see it, see what it looks like. But see, I just went into Smart Plans. I went into library. For those of you that take my class, I always say Teal is your friend. Teal underline shows you where we are. We're in library. I just typed in Kimber Walton. And the beauty about this, you can look at any of the things that she's created, but the beauty about her 36 touch, as Scott Leroy mentioned, she's already done the hard work for you. All you have to do is add it to your database and send it out. I mean, you can test it. First of all, please test any and all Smart Plans on yourself before you send anything out. But after that, this is already locked and ready to go. So all you have to do is add it and send it to yourself just to test it so you can see what it looks like, and then off to the races you go. Good. Okay, so let
I
me
guess
go back.
part of
Oh,
my question was though, but does it, so it'll automatically update them regular, I guess was my question.
So yeah, so what she does is every time that NAR puts out market data statistics, she will go in and update the next appropriate one, and it'll be on there because some of them she'll say like 2022 or she'll say March 2022 or whatever it is. So she's going to actually do the hard work for you. She's going to take the information once it's produced or sent out by NAR, and she's going to then take that information, create the smart plan, put it on in command, and all you have to do is download it and send it out. So she's going to do all that hard work for you every time. Jill, did you have your hand up? And then while you're talking, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
jump
think-
back. Oh.
So you just answered it. It just, I guess it's hard for me to wrap my mind around how it updates for its, how that update will reach our database, I guess. That's
Yeah,
just-
so the hard part or the easy part for you is all you have to do is just find the select one that's the current one. So if you're in May and there's, something like April or May, then you just look for 2022 April or May, and that's the one that you send out. Yeah, she'll do all the hard part. Bonnie, you had your hand up?
Would we just choose one of these, part 1, part 2, part 3, Kimber
So
Walton's?
typically they're in threes. You would do the part 1, part 2, part 3. So she'll call it out. And the good thing that you want to keep in mind is just when you're looking at it, pay attention to the subtitle or the subtext in terms of the description. It'll tell you whether this is part 1, part 2, part 3, or it'll say if it's just a single one. So make sure you look at it and read it to make sure if there's 3 parts to it, then make sure you have all 3 parts. If it's 2 parts to it, make sure you have all 2. If it's only 1, make sure it's 1. So just read the description here, and then you can drop down to view steps. It'll tell you what the steps are for those of you that are not familiar with smart plans. And then, like I said, you can always add it to your smart plans and then send it to yourself so you know what it looks like and what it's going to, look like for your clients. But I'm going to always encourage you, and I know Scott Leroy's, him and his team will do the same. Send it to yourself first, no matter what. Test it to make sure it's correct, then send it to your clients. Please don't ever send a smart plan out until you vetted it.
I realized I was not muted. That sounded really creepy. I apologize, but yes, I 100% agree. Always put yourself on everything. You always want to know what that looks like.
So really quickly, one of the things I want to go back to is what Scott mentioned about contacts. I'm going to go back into Erin IU. Remember, we were talking about adding the neighborhood. So then where it says copy link, so it's just going to tell you what a recap of what those are. I'm going to copy the link, and then I'm going to put this in another web browser so you can see it. Can you all see that? So that's what it's going to look like. So it'll allow Erin or whomever to go through the different neighborhoods, and that's
Wow,
what they would see.
that is cool.
And then you can, lock in if you wanted to only focus on Kula. And then if you wanted to see this property, then you'd click on it and go from there.
Wow.
All right, let me get back to my PowerPoint. Bear with me. And I think we were here, right?
Mhm.
Okay. My mouse is being a little finicky. Sorry about that. All right, so implementation strategy, we're almost done. Question number 1, how are you generating your leads? Making sure you understand that. Number 2, what systems do you have in place for lead generation, whether that's Zillow or wherever you're getting your leads from, or Facebook? Bonnie, question, I'm sorry, or no? Okay, question number 3, is this process repeatable? Meaning, what systems do you have in place for generating the leads? How are you tracking the leads? And is that process something that is repeatable, meaning you do this every single time? Once you have a lead, do you have a process to nurture them? Is this process repeatable? So again, these all point back to having a plan, how to add the contacts, how to tag them, how to add the neighborhoods, and then how to nurture them once they're on that drip campaign, so to speak. And then the fifth step is question number 1. What do you do on closing day? What do you do after closing? Are those steps repeatable? Making sure that you have a strong fire closing program, meaning how are you going to continually stay in touch with people that you've previously sold to? All right, so let's get into it. Questions, comments, and then we're going to talk about next steps. And I'm going to stop share in case I need to go between here and also command.
What was number 2 on that? What do you do on closing day? What was number 2?
Let me go back.
Sorry.
No worries. And this one. So what do you do on closing day? And I'll give you guys a copy of this as well. I'll email it to everyone that registered. Number 2 is what do you do after the close? You know, do you do gifts? Do you do cards? Do you sing them a telegram? I don't know what you do, but what do you do? And then are those steps repeatable?
Thank you.
Questions? That's a good thing, maybe, I don't know. Scott, oh, Bonnie.
I just wanted to go back to the 2 links that Scott Leroy put in the chat box at the beginning of the call, the iPhone and Android links. Scott, what are those for again, please?
Yeah, of course. So that is if you want to actually export your contacts from your phone directly. So this is one of the biggest things I always suggest whenever you're just trying to get like an intro database set up, or maybe that's where your primary contacts are for the time being. That'll actually help to export them to a CSV file, which is like an Excel type file. So that way we can get that imported into Command right away for you. So the best part on here is this is all stuff that we can actually do for you. And I'll put this inside the chat section as well too. This is a direct link where we can actually do this instead. So for most offices, what we typically do is we'll actually work with the agent and say, hey, if you can send us that CSV file, we can get that imported for you. And in cases like this, like where you might be logging in, you know, downloading an app on your phone, you'll definitely need to do that. But this is actually something where we can actually say, hey, we can sign in and download that for you. So if you're utilizing a different CRM, like maybe you're using Follow Up Boss, Top Producer, Brivity, we can actually sign in and export those contacts for you. Or if you're utilizing, you know, your contacts in Gmail or over in LinkedIn, whatever it might be, we can help out with that too. And this will allow us just kind of access to do all of that for you. So instead of just saying like, hey, if you can export your contacts, we'll get that in. That link on here will actually allow us to just say, hey, let's do it all for you because we want you out there helping people buy and sell homes, and we'll get these exported, reformatted, and imported right away for you too. But those other 2 links are primarily for like your phone, basically. So if you want to go through and export your contacts from there, that'll help to export it immediately. And the best part is it is free. That's one of my favorite words in the entire world is free. So there you go.
Thank you.
So next steps for you all, unless there's other questions, and you can jump in at any point in time. So the next steps would be if you have your contacts in Command, then you are on this trajectory, making sure that you have your tagging in place. And then once you have your tags, then we're going to pass the baton to Scott and his team. They're going to automatically put in those 5 smart plans that we talked about. Scott, can you put in the chat for me that link that we worked on, or your team worked on, let me be correct, that was kind of like the sign up to the database management? Can you put that in the link? So for people that already have their contacts in Command, if you don't have the tagging system correct, get that correct. And then from there, complete that form in the link. And then Scott and his team will begin to manage the smart plans for you, starting out with those basic 5. Making sure that for those birthdays, if you're going to do the birthdays, make sure the birthdays are in there. So the things that you want to make sure you have in your contacts would be the tags, the birthday in terms of their birthday. If you wanted to do birthday, if you want to do something else, you're fine to do that. So if you want all 5, You will need to have your neighborhood and your birthday, and obviously the contact information, email. Those are the primary things that you'll need to have. If you want to customize those 5, you want to do a different version, that's totally fine. You just need to let Scott know that, and making sure that whatever it is, you have all of the information to be able to do that. So that's the first step. For the people that don't have their contacts, reach out to Scott Leroy and his team. They can help you get those contacts in there. Then you will go to the next step in terms of the tags, the birthdays, and all of that stuff. So that is the starting launch for all of us, is to make sure that if you are in the camp of, I already have my contacts, I've got my tags, I've got my birthdays in there, then send it, connect with Scott Leroy and his team with the link, and then we're going to get you off to the races. For those of you that may need a little more extra jumpstart, Scott Leroy and his team can help you get the contacts in there, and then we can start launching the next step. So I want to be very clear about what the next steps are. Questions or comments?
How do you reach Scott?
Great question. Scott, you want to put that in the chat, or do you want me to?
Yeah, so I actually just put that in earlier. So that was the one
Perfect.
that I was referencing. I'm actually making one adjustment to it right now too.
Okay. And then keep in mind that I will touch base with you every 30 days to make sure that everything's going well and there are no trouble issues or concerns. And then Scott and I talk on a frequent basis. So we will definitely make sure you get your question and or concern addressed. Jill, did you have your hand raised?
Yeah, just a quick question, just with the smart plans that are already in process. Customizing them, will there be another level of like going deeper into
Yes,
custom?
great question. So what my plan is, and that was one of the things that I was going to cover before I ended, is what we're going to do is do this in phases. So we're going to make sure that everyone gets started based on the initial process. Then we're going to have like a segment 1, a segment 2, and a segment 3. Just like we do have the basic user, the intermediate user, and the advanced user. So those advanced people can go to that next level as well. So we're going to have silos or buckets, if you will, in terms of, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. This is phase 1 to get everyone up and running. So we're all kind of functioning at a foundational level, and then we're going to build on the foundation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Liz.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anyone else? Speak now. Okay, so Jonathan, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so from that link that's on there, I made a few adjustments for y'all to make it easier. So that way it can work whether you have your contacts in command or you don't. It'll say required next to anything that is required. So like your name, your email, the login for command, and then where your contacts are located. So you could actually just say they're in command, and then I'll know, okay, perfect, we're good to go. Or you can say, hey, they're in Google, they're in my iPhone, they're in Android. And then we have a section on here, it's not required, but if you do have them in a different section outside of command, what's your login and password for those contacts and where they're located? And then also, would you like different content or different smart plans than the main 5? And if you do, which ones would you like?
Perfect. So what we'll do is this in terms of giving you information. I will make sure that I copy the chat. And when I copy the chat, I'm going to do, and the reason why I'm going to do that is I'm going to send an email with probably say Monday to give myself some time. By Monday or on Monday, you'll receive an email from me. The email will have the recording. This is recording. It will have all of the links that were in the chat. So you have that information at the ready. And then it'll have next steps reminders, and then contact information for Scott Leroy and his team. Does that work?
Thank you. Yes, very much so. Thank you.
And then I'll also give you a PDF version of the PowerPoint presentation. So then that way you can refer back.
Awesome. Thank you. And I took all those notes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Latasha.
Yeah. So I'll make sure I get all that to you by Monday. Anything else before we wrap up?
I just want to say, I went to that link to download everything, this app that Scott said, and I'm now looking at my computer, all the contacts from this phone. It was so easy. So thank you. That's a huge step.
It's so funny if you look at the reviews on there, there's like 20 reviews. And I'm pretty sure it's from people I've told to go there. So I'm sure whoever made this app is just like, how are people going here? And I was like, if you search for export contacts from iPhone to CSV, you pop up number 1. So they're doing something right. So
But it is safe.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
Cool.
100% safe. Yeah.
Yes.
thank you.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Hopefully this is beneficial. You learned some things, some nuggets, and hopefully the most important thing is that you will be able to move forward in your business. Whatever stage you are, we want to put you in that next stage. So we want to make sure you're maximizing your database. We'll be in touch. We're here for you. Let us know, reach out. Aloha.
Thank you so
Perfect.
much. That was
Thanks,
wonderful.
Scott. I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Of
thank you,
course.
Scott.
No,
Good
thank
to
you.
meet
Thank you for
you.
having me.
Thank you.